Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the GSMC Fantasy Sports Podcast, brought to you as always by the GSMC Sports Network. We are in the home stretch of today's show. And these last two segments are really segments that I believe will stand the test of time because they're about prop bets. And everyone loves a good prop bet. Now these two teams, like I said, the Cardinals and Panthers, are the most exciting teams in the league. But that doesn't mean that they have this kind of stigma around them that they can't be bet upon. I think that when you look at them, they're slowly retooling and getting better. The Cardinals might be a bit further along, but there's some hope for the Panthers. But let's start off, of course, with the Arizona Cardinals, because right now, I think they're being a little underestimated. Last year, they really made some strides under Jonathan Gannon that I did not expect out of them. And as someone who follows the NFC West passionately as a Seahawks fan, I think it's nice to know that the Cardinals believe they can stay competitive in this division, because this division is always fun when all four teams can, in some fashion, find some nice little wins and be competitive. And so, while the Arizona Cardinals are one of those teams that you expect to do poorly, that doesn't mean that you can't, find a nice bet that you're comfortable with placing on them. And so I'm going to take you through three popular ones that I think can be confident bets for your portfolio. So let's start off with, let's talk about their win total or win projection. They're projected to either hit over or under 6.5 wins. And this is the one that's a little bit kind of tricky for me, because the Arizona Cardinals are definitely set up to find wins wherever they can. They can definitely sneak up on people. Their offense has certain pieces that I really like. Like I talked about, Trey McBride is going to be a tight end I really like. I drafted him in my fantasy team confidently and said, I love this kid, and I think he's going to do very well. Michael Wilson can certainly round into something. And of course, if Kyler Murray stays healthy, who knows what he brings to the QB position, and who knows how Jonathan Gannon will implement him as well. And so, when I look at this over-under, 6.5 wins certainly feels like a lot, but can this offense, is going to be the question, can this offense really lead in their performances consistently? Can Kyler Murray step back into this offense, trust his weapons, and ultimately surprise people? And I believe he can, but the reason why I'm saying this bet is tricky is because the NFC West is tricky. And that's where I believe the Cardinals will want to focus their most attention on, gaining ground in this division, finding divisional wins. And I believe that all three of the teams outside of them, the Niners, the Rams, and the Seahawks, definitely are teams that are all going to be fighting for playoff positioning. And so the Cardinals at this moment in time feel kind of more like spoilers, but that also adds to their win total. Say they get one of two from either the Rams or the Seahawks. Shock them a little bit. That's good for their win total. And then there are some areas of their schedule where, might lighten up. They play the NFC North. Who knows how volatile that division's going to be as well. They can find a few wins there. They can find maybe a win in the AFC East. And so all these wins could stockpile up to really come up on people and surprise them and say at the end of the season, oh, this is a pleasant surprise. I bet money on the over for the Cardinals, and they turned out to prove me correct. That being said, 6.5 wins is a very lofty standard for this team. So I would confidently say take the under, but who knows? I really think this offense is getting a little bit underestimated here. And transitioning from this bet to the next bet is going to really hinge upon how much reliance is going to be in this setup. Kyler Murray over 3,255 yards. And I think that Kyler Murray, a lot of people forget how capable he is as a passer. We saw in many different offenses over the years for the Arizona Cardinals during the Kyler Murray era where Kyler Murray was not afraid to fling the ball down the field, very often for that matter. And in that way, it opens up a lot of things for this Cardinals offense. Last year, it shocked me more than anyone. The Cardinals were one of the highest ranked teams in explosive run rate. They definitely have a very underrated running back in James Conner as well. And so, while I like that aspect of it, and I really want James Conner to do well because he's really going to make a name for himself if he continues to consistently put up the numbers that he does, I think that the Cardinals need a downfield threat. Whether it be Trey McBride in the slot running seam routes, or in the red zone, or Michael Wilson finding some consistency. I really believe that in order for Kyler Murray to hit the over on this, there's gonna have to be some elements of verticality added to this offense. They're still gonna want to implement Murray's legs into this offense because he's one of the most dangerous runners in the National Football League when he's carrying the football. But at this moment in time, what I want out of the Cardinals is this kind of unafraidness to really vary their offense. When the Cardinals are unafraid, that's where they can pick and choose their moments to find some success. And so, in a season where you're a team that wants to improve, but you have to find wins, I think the best option for them is going to be opening up this offense and shocking people. And while it might not add up in wins, it could add up to Kyler Murray hitting the over. It's plus 100 right now for this over, and I think that's a safe bet. It's not necessarily too long odds, and so that could be an exciting prospect for you, but at this current moment, it's going to be all about how Gannon views Kyler Murray as a passer and how he utilizes that. Now let's go to a fun bet. Let's all talk about week 1 bets. And these are fun bets because it really shows how prepared teams are for the upcoming season. In week 1, the Arizona Cardinals play the Buffalo Bills, their first AFC East game. This should be a very, very exciting game. I don't think it's going to be a telling game because I do expect the Bills to win. But I do think that in terms of points, the odds makers have it right now in terms of over-under at 48.5. This game could exceed that. I'm taking the over on this. A lot of people might take the under because, both of these offenses now have questions at the wide receiver position. And so that calls into question how these very vertical passers are going to throw the football. But that being said, these two quarterbacks know how to operate high-flying offenses, know how to operate in terms of shootouts. Josh Allen's been doing it through his career. Kyler Murray can as well. And so if Arizona comes out guns a-blazing, Kyler Murray's throwing the ball down the field early and often, I think that this has the opportunity to be a very fun game. And it's very high scoring. However, if they stay a little bit more conservative, if the Cardinals decide that maybe they want to work Kyler Murray back into this offense, this could feel like a day off for the Buffalo Bills. And it could get ugly pretty quickly. Because I really trust that the better way to operate this offense for the Cardinals, the best way for that matter, is for Kyler Murray to be unafraid. And so, I'm confident in the fact that the over should hit, but this is such a variable game. It's such a volatile game to think about because this game isn't necessarily season defining. Arizona will be comfortable losing it because they will be 0-1 and it's just the start of the season, but it is certainly setting the bar for them. And if they don't hit that bar, then who knows? And I think that right now, look at all three bets for the Cardinals. It's all on this offense here. Can this offense really lead? Because when I look at the Cardinals' defense, there's actually a little bit of excitement around it. I really think that this defense is going to be underrated. Yes, they lose a couple of pieces up front. They still have Buda Baker, though. And I think that Jonathan Gannon is, at the end of the day, someone who's going to be a bit more defensive-minded. But when you have an offensive weapon like Kyler Murray, you definitely want to implement him early and often into this offense. And that's the key for the Arizona Cardinals if they don't want to sit in the cellar or around the cellar at the end of the season. That should just about do it for this segment. Coming next, we talk about the worst team last year in the NFL. It can't get worse than what happened last year for them, right? The Carolina Panthers. We'll end the show with them after the break.